You're listening to This Magical Life, a podcast dedicated to exploring the depths of spirituality and personal growth. I'm Philip Carr-Gomm. Hello, good evening. Just this sense we can, as we arrive, we can kind of tune into this thing of being together. I think the internet actually, one of its great possibilities and gifts is that it makes working and studying meditation really much easier. We don't have to travel anywhere to interact with others, to study meditation, to experience meditation in a group or together, to learn new techniques and so on. I'm not quite sure why the subject came up. When I asked in the inner world for what I should talk about, this concept of stability came up. And it's perhaps because we live in such an unstable world, with all the things that are going on in virtually every country. Perhaps it's for that reason. Perhaps it's because actually it's something that has always been of interest to us. I mean, I guess ever since the dawn of time, where we've had to battle with the forces of nature and to keep ourselves safe and deal with tragedy and illness and difficulty and so on. The search for stability has always been with us. And I immediately thought, in tackling this subject, I immediately thought of, the sumo wrestling suits. First time I went to a country fair and I saw a couple of people in sumo wrestling suits, I couldn't stop laughing. I don't know if you've seen them, but they're basically weighted suits, massive suits that you put on. So you look like a sumo wrestler, and then you're put facing your friend and you can hardly walk. So what you do is you just lean on him or her, and then she will topple over and then stagger back and then lean on you, and you'll career around. It's just absolutely hilarious. And in fact, it's been on my bucket list for years. And one of the things I have promised myself today is that I'm going to hire a sumo wrestling pair of suits and play with it with my grown-up kids or anybody else who'll play with me with that. So I actually thought, in my memory, I thought those suits were weighted at the bottom. They had a big weight, because my memory is that people just keel over and bounce back. But in looking online, I tried to find some fun films that I could put on the blog post that goes with this. And in fact, they don't seem to have weights. They seem to have your own feet poking out of the bottom. But either way, it still works. But what it reminded me of was this question of what it means to be anchored and grounded, because of course what keeps happening is you keep grounding, you keep falling to earth, like that. And I followed a guru for 7 years. His name was Omram Michalaivanov, and he was Bulgarian, but he spoke French, and he was always a joy to listen to. And he used to say something that really worked for me. And partly, I think, because it's in French. And when I hear French, I hear it in a different part of my brain, and it speaks to me at some other level. And he used to say this. He'd go inside and he'd say, "Je suis stable, fils du stable, conçu et engendré dans le territoire de la stabilité." So the English translation, it doesn't sound so good. It doesn't sound so good to me. And it goes, I am stable, or I am stability. I am the child of stability, conceived and engendered in the territory of stability. Doesn't sound so good, but je suis stable, je suis fils du stable, conçu et engendré dans le territoire de la stabilité. Sounds somehow good. And this ability to find stability deep within, I think, is a huge asset. And one of the goals of the spiritual life is to find stability in an unstable world, in a world that often will knock us back. And there's an important distinction, I think, to make between the search for stability and the kind of naive pop psych, if you like, adage to always get up. You know, those kind of phrases that go, the difference between the successful person and the unsuccessful person is the successful person always picks themselves up. Every time life knocks you down, pick yourself up and all those things. Well, I find those kind of phrases really annoying because they don't account for the way in which sometimes we can't get up when we're knocked down. And in fact, the fact that we can't get up is precisely because we need to stay down. We're knocked back and we need to stay down. And that kind of metaphor is very poignant because it points to our need to be close to the earth. I don't know if you've ever had a shock in your life where literally the floor gives way. It's happened to me, and before, if it's never happened to you, it sounds like it's a kind of literary device. They were so upset that the floor gave way. But when it does happen, it's as if the floor gives way and you want to fall to the ground to find safety on the earth. And this need to be close to the earth is actually where we find the relationship between stability and between not having stability, being knocked around. Because if you really open to the experience of being discombobulated, of being bouleversé, as it's called in French, of being scattered and hit, if you go into the heart of that, you'll find, I think, a part of you that is seeking the ground. So you might be scattered all over the place, you might be knocked down, but deep inside, I think you can locate this part of you, which is the stable part of you. You are instinctively going towards that stable part of you. And let's do that now as a kind of experiment. See what happens when you try. If you want to, you don't have to do this, but if you want to, just try closing your eyes and go to the part of your body where you feel the most stable. Just go for a few seconds. We'll just go inside now and go to the place of stability, of feeling grounded and stable. Note what part of the body your consciousness travels to, if it does. And then just come out again. Just open your eyes and come out. So we all have different places, but the message we're getting is that you did go to places in your body. Interesting. We didn't go up into our heads. We went down. We went down in some way. Hands, chest, heart, spine, solar plexus. Of course, in Zen and other traditions, they talk about the Hara center, just a little bit below the solar plexus. You can sort of connect with it by pressing your fingers in about 2 inches below your navel. Then there's the solar plexus, and that there's a whole load of kind of energetic work you can do tuning into the solar plexus and that part of the body. And let's work with that now, because I think when we learn to trust our body, like, in those two very powerful experiences, that falling down, this sense that I had, yes, of the floor giving way and wanting to get to the earth. They provide a huge clue. And in fact, I think one of the things that spiritual practice can do is it can help us to get to that place without trauma, without in times of peace and quiet. And the more we connect with that place, the more it becomes a center of stability within us that is kind of ever present. I think if you're used to this, if you do it for a long time, if you're used to, in meditation, in visualization, in your work on yourself, you go to this place in your consciousness, more and more you just feel centered as a matter of course. Funny enough, just before I started this broadcast, something happened that could have thrown me off completely. The light here fell down and the sort of bulb smashed everywhere and all the rest of it. This was 2 minutes before we were due to begin. So I had to go downstairs and get another light and so on. But it was all okay because my consciousness was, I suppose, mainly located in that place. Stephanie would probably say is when it's located just a bit above the solar plexus in the tummy area, because I think about food quite a lot. But that would be a very unfair thing for her to say. I'm sure she would never say that. So let's now connect again with that place. And let's see if we can work with it in meditation. So let's just have a little meditation together for a few minutes if you want to. So closing our eyes if we want to, or just keeping them open if you like to. Just become aware of being in your body. And then move your center of awareness to where you feel you're anchored. Just whatever part of the body feels like the anchoring place where you feel earthed, centered, grounded, however you want to put it. And as you do that, if you like, see if you can sort of at the same time open up to an awareness of being seated out in nature, perhaps in the sacred grove in a clearing in the woods. Just letting go of your awareness of being in front of the computer or the tablet, but just instead sensing that you're out in the woods now, out in the countryside, sitting on the earth, beneath a tree, the trees around you, the sky above you, and the earth beneath you. And feel now the relationship or experience of your earth center and the earth herself. Sense your own earth center, and then sense the earth beneath you. The earth with its rich soil, its rocks, all the creatures and life in the earth. The water in the earth too. The strength in this earth, the stability in this earth. And without having to analyze it or think about it too much, you know that there's some mysterious connection between this earth that you're seated on and this center of stability within your own being. And you just breathe in and breathe out, feeling grounded, centered, sensing the roots of the tree that's behind you that you're leaning against perhaps, sensing these roots going deep down. And you can sense those roots stretching deep into the earth, anchored in the earth. So strong, so stable. And with the energy of the earth and the water nourishing these roots, and this energy flowing up, the earth energy flowing up and flowing into you now, nourishing your energy field, nourishing your physical body too, traveling up your spine, up your body, bringing energy and strength, stability, centeredness. Right up to your head. And then sensing perhaps the tree going above you, sensing its branches reaching high into the air, the leaves being fed by the sky above. And you let go of your awareness of the tree now. And just become aware of the energy of the sky flowing down into your body, into your energy system. And the energy of the sky meets the energy of the earth. And sense where that is meeting now. Where is the energy of the sky meeting the energy of the earth? Just breathe in deeply, breathe out deeply. Enjoying this wonderful mixture of sky energy and earth energy within the center of your being. And feeling clear and energized, stable and grounded, knowing you can do this exercise at any time to deepen it. It's time now just to let go of the imagery, let go of the sense of being in a sacred grove. As you become aware of being seated here, the energy of the sky and the energy of the earth flowing within your being, bringing you a sense of peace and calm, clarity, and oneness with nature. And so you slowly open your eyes, sensing that you're here with all your fellow meditators in this place together. And may the earth be blessed. May the trees be blessed. We sense, all of us, our love flowing to the earth, flowing to the trees, and flowing to the air around us. And so, I know that was very short. I'm always aware in these meditations that these meditations are for everyone. You know, we might in our own practice want to do a meditation like that, going much, much deeper, spending much more time. I've been meditating for years in all sorts of different ways. And then over the last few years working with meditation and sophrology, and then I decided I've taken a couple of courses in meditation teaching mindfulness and meditation. And I've decided to put all that together in an online course. There's a lot of pressure we make for ourselves about meditating. There are many different ways to meditate. Meditation isn't one thing. There are lots of different ways to meditate, and it's a question of finding the way that suits you, the way that really speaks to you. And it's not about being good at meditation. And funny enough, there's a way in which we can transcend that kind of question. As I said, these meditations are specifically designed to be brief, but to help us touch in to an experience that we can then, if we like, repeat on our own, and then go deeper. Maybe if I can just leave one last thought about stability. One of the big dangers, I think, in spiritual work is that we develop rods to beat our own back. We naturally want precepts, codes, instructions, disciplines, advice to keep us on track. And that's perfectly normal, of course. But what we have a tendency to do is to grasp onto these and then make them the standard that we must achieve. And then if we don't achieve that, we feel like we've failed. So in other words, if we talk about stability and finding stability, there's naturally a way in which we kind of criticize ourselves when we're not feeling stable. We set up stability as a kind of goal. And then when we're feeling a little unstable, a little unsure of ourselves at whatever level, intellectually, physically, or whatever, we then feel bad about it. But in fact, all of life is this kind of dance, and we wouldn't have the experience of stability if we didn't have the experience of instability. And So it's a dance between the two. And we all go through periods of instability and 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 we go through periods of stability. And of course, stability feels more comfortable, but life isn't about simply making ourselves comfortable. But we can, however, I think, develop techniques and find ways in which to feel more stable, just as we can find ways to feel unstable. I mean, I'm sure we can all think of ways, if I went out now and got on a motorbike and drove it at 100 miles an hour, that would be a good way to feel unstable very quickly. So, of course, we can find ways to feel unstable, ways to feel stable. Uh, and I guess what spirituality or the spiritual way can do is it can offer us a kind of vision of the relationship between stability and instability, and then offer us ways to feel stable. And one of those ways is, I think, through finding the center of stability within our own bodies and then working with that in meditation. So lovely to see you. Okay, bye then.